by show of hands, does anyone agree that this has been a very interesting year so far? I got it. Anyone feeling stressed? I'm right there with you. I felt it too, because we've all heard the myths that working harder delivers better results, right? What about rest? Rest is a weakness, right? I'm sure my fellow military veterans have heard that one. What about long hours equals higher success? Or the classic hard work guarantees recognition, right? I know that you've heard these, and it's easy for us to lean and believe these thoughts, thinking that grinding endlessly is the key to success. But what if I told you that hard work doesn't increase your results? Working harder actually yields better results than working harder. What if I told you that rest and recovery were essential to performance? And if you push yourself too hard, guess what? You're going to end up with poor health, failure, and low productivity. Let's talk about stress for a minute. Stress causes us to have cognitive issues. It decreases our concentration, changes our mood, I'm sure you know about that, makes us irritable. Stress causes inflammation in our body, increases inflammation, resulting in aches in our joints. Stress decreases your immune defenses. And when you need to heal, it takes a little bit longer. Stress causes hair loss. Now, we don't like that, do we? No. Skin problems, and stress also affects our digestive system, causing discomfort and pain. Now, stress even affects our reproductive system, decreasing hormones, decreasing libido, and can also cause erectile dysfunction, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you something. Have you ever been so exhausted from a long day that you couldn't remember the day of the week you were in? The last time you took a break? Or worse, you ignored the mounting signs of stress in your life. I know, I've been there as well. When we do this, we don't realize the damage that we're doing to ourselves. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO, the mom that stays at home, or the dad that stays at home, or the student. What we know is that stress is going to affect our lives. And sometimes when you think about stress, you probably think about the people in your life that cause you the most stress, right? Now listen, if that's you, blink twice. I'm the only one that can see. You're good. But I want us to be mindful that the way that we manage stress actually determines if we're surviving or if we're thriving. And I don't know about you, but I want to be in thriving mode, right? I know. And let's think about stress in the workplace. In the workplace, we think about the heavy workload. It's not always about the heavy workload. Stress stems from frustration, pressure, change, and conflict. And when employees experience this in the workplace, it causes them to be overwhelmed, and sometimes they become disengaged. Have you done that? They can also lead to absenteeism and low productivity, and that's not what we want when we're trying to make a living. So I want you to be mindful of how you think about stress and what you think about stress. Leaders, I'm sure you've seen the signs. That quiet quitting, not coming to work, finding reasons not to do the work. But what are you doing about it? Are you using incentives, rewards, and bonuses to boost morale? Is that what we're doing? In the book, Why Motivating People Doesn't Work, the author informs us that these external motivators, like incentives and rewards to give praise, only provide a temporary solution. People need more. People need connection and autonomy, and stress undermines both of those psychological needs. And we want to find ways to increase our health, not decrease our health. Let me take you back to 2006. I was a military spouse, my husband was deployed, and I was dealing with a terrible migraine headache. Now, it had become a constant companion for 3 straight weeks. And it wasn't just the pain. It was the stress of having to raise my small children alone, trying to balance work and life, and then that constant pressure of not being able to just turn off. And as a former military officer, I had adapted the mindset that if you show pain or stress, that's a weakness. So there I was in my closet on the floor. And I clutched my head because of the pain. Took a deep breath in, took a deep breath out. Then I put my head down on my arms and made myself as small and as tight as I could on the floor. And I started doing shallow breaths with a pause, shallow breath with a pause. And I did that for the next 15 minutes until I could take a moment, feel my body, get up, and then continue to take care of my children. That was a wake-up call for me, that powering through stress was not the way. That constant grind, pushing myself to the limit, was not going to do me, wasn't going to help me. It was doing more harm than good. And I needed to know a way. How can I figure out a way to recognize those alerts about stress in my body? So, after years of research about stress, reactions to stress, how people deal with stress, I came up with a solution that I call the stress code. Now, the stress code gives awareness and solutions. Think about it. What if you could recognize the levels of stress in your body by using a simple color-coded system? Think about the homeland threat levels or the COVID threat levels. Remember those? They let you know the level of threat based on how it's going to affect your health and your safety. Okay, so let me break this stress code down for you. These are our stress threat levels. And I'm going to start with the best one right here. Code green is low stress. When you're experiencing low stress, you have a healthy lifestyle, you're sleeping well, and you are very focused. We want to stay in code green as much as possible, don't we? Code blue, that's general stress. When you're experiencing general stress, losing a little bit of focus, your energy is low, and probably a little unorganized. It happens. Code yellow, significant stress. By the time you get to this level of stress, you're certainly experiencing some anxiety, muscle tension, and you can't really focus. Now, let's go to code orange, high risk stress. Now, pay attention, family members, on this one. This is when people get quite irritable. You've probably been around that. You're experiencing constant anxiety, and it's affecting you getting work done. Now, let's get to code red, severe stress. If you've gotten to severe stress, you probably are at the level of burnout, and you are lacking the decision-making abilities that you would usually have. And you're probably experiencing some depression. We don't want to be in code red. We can't thrive in code red, right? We can thrive in code green. So I want to talk about the other part of stress code. It's not just awareness, right? What are we going to do about it? So the stress code requires that we use sensory immersion to deal with stress and to manage stress daily. Sensory immersion allows us to use our 5 senses. That's sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Sounds different, right? Let's get into it. For sight, visual clutter creates mental clutter. So make sure you declutter your areas, your workspace, so that you can concentrate. That's one of the things we need every day. Let's move to sound. Calming sounds help us and they allow us to focus. Even a corporate playlist of instrumental calm music can be used in the workplace as a backdrop to help everyone concentrate and focus. Let's go to smell. Now, smell is one of the most powerful senses that we have, and we want to use aromatherapy. We want to use essential oils so that we can enhance those things. Lastly, I have one more. Let's go to taste. Love some taste. What we eat affects the way that we feel, right? I'm going to suggest that you use nutritional, healthy snacks in order to boost your energy. Keep them in the car, take them to work. And lastly, touch. Now, these are items, not people. Don't get it confused and say you got it from Dr. Rhonda. But sensory items like stress balls or textured desk items allow you to ground yourself in the workspace. You can also use something like a weighted blanket to ground you at work. So what I want to do now is show you how the sensory approach works well with stress levels. All right, so when you're experiencing low-level stress, we want to focus on resting and making sure that our nervous system gently is changed. And we want to use sight, smell, and taste. Now, my top 3 senses are smell, taste, and touch. So for me, I would use touch here. For mid-level stress, we want to interrupt those negative thoughts, those thoughts about failure, those thoughts about those inadequacies. And so we're going to use sight, taste, and movement. And movement can take a walk or do some yoga, or you can do some Pilates. For high-level stress, we are trying to reconnect the mind with the body so that you feel safe and secure. And we're going to use more layering with the senses. Sight, smell, taste, and touch. Those can be things that you use in the office or that you use at home. But these are things to help you stay in code green and not code red. And let me offer here, if you are at severe stress, you want to ensure that you're getting your medical and physical evaluations to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Okay? You hear that? You hear that? Somebody is at severe stress level. This time it's Rebecca. Now, Rebecca had a very hard time. She rose through the ranks and she became a director in her company, but she let stress overwhelm her. And she had a mental breakdown where she had to be seen by a therapist and to also be seen by a doctor. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she had gone 6 years without any checkups. Okay, we don't want to do that. So what I'm offering is that you make sure that you are thinking about your levels of stress. Identify them, know where you are. Use those sensory elements that I mentioned to help you deal with it daily. I assure you it works. Everyone whom I've worked with loves it. And I want you to think about how we can be more productive and healthier. So I challenge you to figure out your stress code. A stress survey helps you understand which senses are most prominent, most preferable to you. I told you what my 3 are. I'd love to know what your 3 are. And I want you to think about how we can be more sustainable at work, more sustainable at home, more sustainable with our families by using other methods and thinking outside the box. So let's do this together so that we can live happier, healthier lives. Thank you.